What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your host, myself, Alex Fishbein, and we got Mike Bash today. No Dennis Clausen this time. What's going on, Mike?
Just struggling my way through the end of tax season. That's about it. But otherwise, everything's all good. The Nets are starting to right the ship, so everything's good here.
I mean, define starting to right the ship.
They're securely in the playoffs.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that.
All that matters. Just win and get in.
Yes. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Because there's not a team in the Eastern Conference that scares me other than maybe Milwaukee. But I gotta say, hold on. Let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
The Nets are an 8 seed right now. If the Nets were to beat the Heat, who's the 1 seed? Now, I don't think the NBA. I don't remember. Does the NBA reseed?
No, I don't think so.
Which means if the Nets were the 8 seed and they were to beat the Heat in the first round, the Nets would have to play, presumably, the Philadelphia 76ers.
But
hold on. As a season ticket holder, you have the option to get playoff tickets.
Oh, I'm going to stop you right there. We did not opt in for next season because prices of Sixers season tickets went up $3,500.
Jeez, how much were they for one season?
For the season we just paid, they were a little over $5,000. So they're now above $8,500 for the same seats we had. So I don't have that kind of money.
But wait, does that mean you don't have priority to the playoff tickets this year?
So that means we could have still gotten playoff tickets. However, if you're not opted in for next season, the playoff tickets shoot up in price. So they do this thing where they charge you up front for 2 rounds at a time. So they charged you up front for the play-in and the first round, all four games of each round too. And then they refund you if it doesn't happen. But I saw the charge come in for the play-in and 4 round 1 games, and it was $2,900. So we said no to the playoff tickets.
So you're not going to make it up to me by Deanna selling the Nets tickets in the regular season by bringing me to a playoff game. I understand.
I tried to bring you to see Jokic.
You did, but it was like a Tuesday, and I worked 2 hours away from Philly.
I know. Meanwhile, Dennis keeps saying, like, oh, I would go anytime you want me to. I'm like, there's no way you're driving all the way down on like a Wednesday or Tuesday.
If you promise him water ice, he might come.
I promise him a whole bucket of water ice. But yeah, so the only thing before I was going to say, wait right there. Actually, I mean, while we're talking about this, we might as well just talk about the play-in teams before we get to the Lakers and everything. If like the way the play-in is, if Brooklyn wins through the play-in, don't they get the 7th seed?
Yeah.
So then they would play Boston if the seed stays where it's at?
Yeah, and then we'd have to play Milwaukee. Yeah. And then by then the Sixers would be out because they're not going to make it to the conference final. So,
I mean, to be honest, I'm not that confident that they will either. So, I want to talk trash about it, but I'm not confident enough to talk any kind of trash about that. But I will say, Boston and Milwaukee play each other at some point this week. I think it's like they're either last game or second to last game
tomorrow. 7.
Yeah.
By the way, let's talk about one thing. Dennis is not here for the podcast, not because he's not feeling well. He's watching Knicks Nets.
That's what he's doing right now?
You know that's what he's doing. He is a liar.
He's probably perfectly fine, eating some Dominoes.
Eating some bonbons.
Exactly. Watching.
Or McGangbang like he was eating last weekend.
Yeah, exactly. But so if Milwaukee wins, they get the second seed. Then say Brooklyn wins through the play-in tournament, then you play Milwaukee first round.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Milwaukee.
I mean, they were the ones you said briefly that they would be the only Eastern team you're afraid of.
Well, I was hoping by then we'd have Ben Simmons. Like, can Ben Simmons just come in and just to play defense on Giannis? Like, that's all we need him for. Like,
I mean,
this guy is. Come on, man.
as of right now, they've only said through the play-in. He won't be ready for the play-in, but we don't know about playoffs. And Tyler, of course, back watching the show. Glad you're back, Tyler. He's questioning your Claxton MVP name.
Yeah, I'm responding to him.
Oh, he's responding to you right via chat. Okay.
Yeah.
But so I don't have that much faith in you guys if you play Milwaukee first round.
You just always be hating. First off, Nicholas Claxton's the best defensive player in the league, so he's gonna lock up Giannis. KD's gonna score. His foot's gonna get a little smaller by the time that series comes around. Kyrie's back. He isn't gonna get undercut by Giannis, and we'll be fine. We got Bruce Brown. We got Seth Curry. We got Andre Drummond. That is the difference. That is the biggest difference between last year and this year. We have a guy that can grab every rebound that comes off the basket. Last year, how many times did the Nets get killed by back taps by Brook Lopez, by Giannis just getting multiple rebounds and then finally scoring? Like, that's not going to happen this year. With as long as Drummond's in there, that's not going to happen. Clax is going to be fine. We're going to get Ben Simmons back at some point, and the Nets will probably not lose a game once they get Ben Simmons back. They'll probably sweep through the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's not a team in this league that's as good as the Nets at full strength.
I mean, at full strength, we still haven't seen what they're like yet.
Didn't we, like, at half strength destroy Philly by, like, 30 a couple of weeks ago?
I'm not talking about Philly. I'm talking about the other teams.
I'm not worried about Miami. They're too busy fighting with each other.
I'm talking about Milwaukee. I'm talking about teams like even Toronto gives everybody issues. And then say you do make it to the finals, there's still Phoenix. They're the best team in the league right now.
All right, well, when we get to the finals, we'll talk about the finals.
Tyler didn't like that very much.
Because Chris Paul is going to get hurt at some point in the playoffs.
I mean, that's always inevitable. Death, taxes, and Chris Paul getting hurt in the playoffs.
That's death, taxes, and Matt Painter.
But here's the thing, though. Ben Simmons has yet to show up in important games. So you still
any game.
You still have to worry, even if he does show up. It's the playoffs. Every time he gets criticized is because in the playoffs, there's a lot of things teams can do to game plan against him and get him off the floor. Boston does it every single time. So if you play Boston, Boston knows how to contain Ben Simmons. They've been doing that since day one. And then, on top of that, against Milwaukee, I think he'll have some success on defense, but then that still creates a hole in your offense because he's not scoring. So, like, you have extra defenders on other people. And then, so say Ben Simmons isn't back. That's going to be huge because I just saw a stat not too long ago that the Nets have one of the worst defenses when Kyrie plays more than like 34, 35 minutes in a game. And then you have to make sure that both him and KD are consistently outscoring teams the whole way through the playoffs. And so if you play Boston or Miami in the first round after the play-in, I have a lot more confidence in the Nets getting to the finals. But if you have to play Milwaukee in the first round, I don't have the same confidence. I just don't see it.
What is it about Milwaukee you think's what concerns the Nets from Milwaukee's standpoint? You stop Giannis, you win the series.
But that's not really true anymore.
Yeah, it is.
Because they've won without him
Middleton's
getting...
sweaty ass ain't going to do anything.
Middleton's bound to go off for 40 points at least one game. And then Drew Holiday can go off for 30 at any time. Like, they still have guys who can play. And Drew Holiday is still one of the best defensive guards in the league.
I'm telling you, they only won that series last year because we couldn't get a rebound.
I mean, that's part of it, yes. But there's still a lot to Milwaukee that a lot of people like, especially come playoff time. So, but either way, going back to the play-in, the four teams locked into the play-in spots for the East are Cleveland, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Charlotte. I'm assuming you're saying Brooklyn is coming out of this play-in. Who else is coming
out? Cleveland.
You think so, even without Jared Allen and everything?
How long is he out for?
He's out indefinitely, and Mobley right now is out with an ankle injury. And obviously they don't have Sexton. So yeah. But ever since Jared Allen went out with an injury, they've been the worst defensive team in the league.
I still like Cleveland. If they can get one of the two Twin Towers back, I still like Cleveland.
Okay. I think I'm going with Brooklyn and Atlanta coming out. Is that possible? Can they both come out?
Yeah, any two of the four teams can come out.
Well, who plays who first?
I think it's so the 7, 8, 9, 10s. I think the 7, 8 teams play, right? And the winner of that is in as the 7.
Right.
Then the 9, 10 play. Mm-hmm. The winner of that plays the loser of the 7, 8.
Ah, that's right. Okay, so yeah. So I see Brooklyn winning that first game, and then Atlanta beating Charlotte and Cleveland. I could see that. Especially if John Collins comes back. I don't know what his injury situation is like, but I could see Trae Young. Trae Young's been doing a whole lot more, especially last postseason, so I could see it happening. But on the Western side of things, now, the one last play-in spot isn't technically decided yet, but right now the Timberwolves are 2 games back of Denver for that 6th spot. So I'm just gonna say Minnesota's in the play-in.
And you remember when you remember when I said Cat for MVP? He's a dark horse.
He's not even top 3.
Yeah, but that's just because they hate. Look what this man has done to bring a Timberwolves team into a loaded Western Conference and gets them into, what are they, the 6th seed right now, you said?
7.
I thought I just saw them at 6.
Denver's 6. They're 2 games back from Denver.
They're 7. But, come on, man. Look at the Cat's better than Embiid.
Embiid has them possibly going for a number 1 seed.
Yeah, well, because he has a much better roster around him.
Not before Harden.
Yeah, but...
But either way, I'm not diminishing how good Cat is. Cat's great. But he's still not Giannis, Embiid, Jokic. And that team is doing very well because of some other guys there. D'Angelo Russell's having a good season. Anthony Edwards is a good player. They finally have a backbone with Patrick Beverley yelling at people and actually making some people pissed off. They have decent people around him finally.
I mean, Patrick Beverley is just getting his cardio in. That's all it is.
Oh, yeah. He's just pissing people off and running around. That's all he does. But either way, so I'm going to assume Minnesota's the other play-in team. So it's Minnesota, Clippers, Pelicans, Spurs. Who are the 2 teams you got coming out?
Well, I saw something earlier today that they think Zion might actually now come back.
I saw that as well. And then for the Clippers, Paul George is back, and the rumor mill keeps going about Kawhi maybe coming back.
I mean, if Kawhi is going to come back, I like them a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But if he's not, I like the Timberwolves. But if Zion comes back, you know what? Zion coming back, I think the Pelicans find a way to get to the 8 seed. Find a way to win the play-in tournament.
Okay. You mean win the play-in tournament as the 7 seed or the 8 seed?
No, I don't think they can get up to the 7 seed.
Oh, right. You can only do that if you are 7 or 8. That's right.
Yeah.
I could see it. I mean, the Spurs decent. DeJounte Murray has had an amazing season.
Yeah.
Um
I tried to trade for him in fantasy basketball, but Tommy Tran, our previous guest on here, wouldn't let me get him. But he did give me Darius Garland, so it worked out.
I was about to say Garland is still a great player too.
I gave up Nickeil Alexander-Walker and the cum bucket for Garland. That was a great trade on my part.
Yep, I ended up getting both of them plus a few picks
For
CJ McCollum.
There you go.
But now Alexander Walker isn't even playing. Utah doesn't play him at all. But Tyler said, wait, how can Zion come back? I mean, he's been on the roster, so I don't think there's a restriction for how many games he has to play to come back. But they've been saying he skipped 3-on-3 and is apparently doing 5-on-5 work. So apparently he might be able to come back. It's been a whole lot of reports and rumors, so I'm not sure how accurate that all is. But yeah, if Kawhi comes back, this Clippers team is pretty damn good without Paul George and Kawhi as is. I mean, they've gotten to this point without them for the bulk of the season. Paul George came back. Paul George had a great few games. And then you bring Kawhi back. This team could actually make some noise. Say Kawhi comes back and the Clippers win this play-in and get a 7 seed and they face Memphis. I could see the Clippers beating Memphis. With Kawhi back, I don't know if they beat Phoenix. Just because Kawhi's been out for so long. If it was like regular, fully healthy Kawhi, I mean, they could definitely beat Phoenix. They would be a higher seed anyway. But it would be interesting. But as of right, say like no one else comes back. It's the rosters as is. I say Minnesota gets the 7, and I say I want to make it spicy here. I want to say Spurs get the 8th.
Okay. I don't hate it.
But speaking of these play-ins, that means we also have to speak of the team that got eliminated, the Lakers.
The Los Angeles Fakers.
Exactly. They have just crumbled all season long. They have been trying to silence the haters and all that good stuff. And ultimately, they proved all the haters correct. They missed the playoffs, didn't even get to the play-in. LeBron's not playing right now with a few injuries. Anthony Davis has been injured all season. Russell Westbrook has been street clothes, exactly. All-time street clothes center. Russell Westbrook has been terrible, and so on and so forth. They extended Horton Tucker, who averaged a whopping 9 points a game. And yeah, it all just kind of went downhill after that. Now Windhorst is saying that LeBron apparently outstays his welcome on a lot of these teams after 3 to 4 seasons. He apparently gets on everyone's nerves and they don't really want to play as hard anymore. Not exactly super surprised about that. What do you think?
I mean, it's kind of par for the course when you play with LeBron. He expects a lot of his teammates. He is one of the all-time great players, but he does wear. I could see him wearing on guys.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's almost like Jordan. Like you're gonna play with Jordan, you're gonna have to bring your A game because he's gonna be the one who shoulders the brunt of all the blame. You know, not Malik Monk or Taylor, even though the social media team of the Lakers is trying to blame Malik Monk for their season. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw that. And did you see the thing about how, like, they on social media, you know how they always post like a player with the final score or whatever. Some guy on, I think it was like Kenny, whatever. He's a YouTuber. Went and looked back at all their social media posts, and they never posted a picture of LeBron whenever they lost. It was only like Malik Monk or Horton Tucker or Russell Westbrook or whatever. They only posted their picture on social media on games that they lost, and LeBron was on like almost all the ones that they won. I mean, I know it's like something small and dumb, but I just thought that was interesting. But it's like, you know how they had Austin Reeves, and there's that meme of like LeBron yelling stuff out, and he's just like, "What's happening?" Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can see on the court that people are gonna be like, "This is annoying to have to play with all the time." Like, I'll go get my ring with LeBron, and then after that, let me go play somewhere else that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, I did see that. I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. So as you were talking, I was looking on Twitter, and ESPN has come out with a fantasy women's basketball.
Oh, for the WNBA?
Yeah,
I'd be down.
I couldn't. If I don't get Elena Deladon, I don't know a single player in the league.
Well, we also have to see what happens with Brittany Griner over in Russia to see if she even plays.
She'd be like that'd be like drafting Josh Gordon.
That would be. But to go along with the Lakers, there's been rumors that they're looking at Doc Rivers as their next head coach. I didn't know that was even a thing if someone still even has a job on another team.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. I was like, dude, like what? Like, I was like, he didn't get fired.
Yeah, like now there's rumors about Doc Rivers not being like the best coach, and there was stuff out there about like Sixers players kind of like turning on him and stuff like that, and saying like he's not the best coach for them. But that's after this whole thing about the Lakers saying that they're going to go get Doc Rivers. So I don't exactly know what's happening there. But they act like this whole thing is Vogel's fault.
It's always Vogel's fault. I was watching Get Up when it was Stephen A. Smith and Mad Dog Russo.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen A. Smith was going on about how, and he has a point, but you know the Lakers haven't done anything outside the bubble.
This is true.
But then I look at it and it's like, well, you haven't done anything outside the bubble because in the bubble was the only time that Anthony Davis wasn't hurt, and that's because he had 4 months to recover.
Exactly. He had plenty of time to rehab, plenty of time to strengthen, and even LeBron, plenty of time to rehab and strengthen. Look at Miami, who made the finals. I mean, I know they're the 1 seed in the East right now, but they've looked like a team that's not even going to get out of the second round.
Yeah.
They haven't done much since the bubble either.
Yeah, the bubble has created a lot of like fake storylines or not fake storylines, but a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
False hope?
Yeah, that's probably a better way of saying it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Like false like sense of who's good and who's not.
Right. Oh yeah, because T.J. Warren was like bubble Jordan.
And Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray was like bubble Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, exactly. There was so many crazy things and that's the other thing to be said about like a neutral location, especially with no fans. That just shows how good at basketball every single NBA player is. And then it also shows how important home court advantage is, how important, being able to last an entire season through the playoffs, through the championship. Like, that just goes to show you how incredibly important and incredibly lucky some teams may get. Some teams may get that year where every team they play has a hurt star player. Some might not. I mean, it's all just a luck of the draw.
Like the Clippers playing, not the Clippers, the Suns last year. Like, didn't every team they play had somebody get hurt?
Yeah, exactly. Like, everyone just gets lucky. They almost got lucky again because Giannis hurt his knee or whatever it was, but he ended up playing on it anyway in the finals. So it almost carried all the way through. But the fact that it's the head coach is always the first scapegoat on any LeBron team. Like David Blatt.
It's never LeBron's fault.
Exactly. David Blatt until they got, who was it, Tyrone Lue.
Yeah.
On Miami, I think Miami was the only time it wasn't, and that's because Pat Riley was like, quit bullshitting. We have everything in place for you. You just got to go play basketball and win a ring. But Cleveland, up until leaving for Miami, went through a bunch of coaches. Even though we all know it wasn't the coach, we all knew it, just you didn't get a team around LeBron good enough to win a finals. And then after Miami, which was, back to Cleveland, that's when there was Blatt and then Lue.
Blatt for 1 year and a little bit, and then they got rid of Blatt.
Yep. And then he went to the Lakers, which their first coach... Who was their first coach? Walton?
Yeah, I think so.
So Walton and then Vogel, they win the bubble, and now Vogel's going to be out. So, yeah, that would be my other thing about being a teammate of LeBron. It's like, why even listen to the coach? Because obviously the coach...
He's legit GM and le coach.
Yeah. So at that point, it's just like you have to suck up to LeBron or else that's about it. But last two things real quick. I just wanted to bring this up because it was pretty interesting. Chris Paul has now helped 4 separate teams reach their single season win record because Phoenix now are at 63 wins, which broke their previous franchise record of 62 wins. He also was on the team in Houston when they broke their record, Charlotte/New Orleans, and the Clippers. So Chris Paul, point guard, one of the best to ever do it. He just needs his ring.
I saw that stat and I was like, that's pretty. Like, he's not a dominant player, but he's a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's just crazy. Like, he was a dominant guy in New Orleans,
right?
But like, it's crazy how no matter what he does, he continues to find ways to win.
Oh, I know. And the amount of leadership he always has too, because a lot of the times when he has these really big teams, other than Houston, they were all pretty young.
Yeah.
Like when he went to the Clippers, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and those guys were all still like within their first few seasons of even like becoming stars. And even, I mean, when he was on the Hornets, the same thing. It was a brand new team with a lot of young guys and everything. And then finally, Houston, you have a more established guy in James Harden, and he still helps them get their win record. So yeah, that's just another feather in his cap, and he's one of the best point guards to ever play. That's just flat out. And the last thing, Ben Simmons officially files his grievance against the Sixers to recoup around $20 million, whatever it was. To me, I think this grievance is just a bunch of BS. Why even extend it to, why keep this whole thing going? Why not just leave it alone, make your money in Brooklyn? You're now on this new team and everything. Just go there, go to your practices, go to your workouts, go to your games, get your money now, and just, be done with it all. That would be me in that case. Just because if you're Ben Simmons, your contract is still for another $100 million. I know $20 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but just it's like with the whole mental health thing, it's not worth the headache.
Mm-hmm.
But as we said, he's out through the play-in tournament, so we'll see if he actually.
I hope when
plays.
he comes back, I hope he gets his money because we need him past his mental health issues. We need him to be happy. We need him to be engaged. But just come back, Ben. We need you.
From your mouth to God's ears, or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not religious.
Yeah, well, you can't pick a religion.
True.
You don't know what you are.
I know. I'm in between. I'm a cashew.
Never heard that before, but you said it like last time. It was hilarious. I've never heard that before.
I heard it from like a friend of a friend and everything. It was funny. It stuck with me. But it looks like that's going to be our short episode this week. Do you have anything else on your chest?
No, I think I'm going to go catch up on some sleep as I'm slowly dying I'm slowly dying a tax season.
Death by taxes?
Yeah. Death by 1,000 tax returns.
Speaking of the Pelicans from earlier, though, I will be down in New Orleans this weekend.
You don't know a game?
No. I wish.
Me and Katie might go to Nets Pacers.
Okay. That's in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. No, we're flying out to Indiana.
Taking a quick trip to the beachside Indiana.
Come on.
Say hi to TJ for me because he's finally back.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I will say
I'll go tell Gogo Batate that I traded him to move up 3 picks in our draft.
Yeah, there you go. I will say I was watching the Sixers-Pacers game last night, and I saw TJ in, and I was like, wait, I didn't even know TJ was back. Because he's on my Dynasty team, and he's been on my IR since, like, December. So, I mean, he was always good for, like, 25 to 30 points a game. And I definitely missed him this year in fantasy. Probably could have won a couple games if TJ was in.
Yeah. I'm just glad that your team sucked, so I was able to move your pick and get a higher pick. That's all.
Hey, I mean, that was my goal to suck this season. So
my team is good, man. Go look at my team. You want to know who the most knowledgeable person in the league is? It's me. I mean, just go look at my team. You'll see.
Your team's solid, but as if Dennis doesn't make any moves, his team is still up there.
Yeah, but I'm going to add Jamal Murray to this team. I'm going to add Jonathan Isaac to this team. I'm going to add Onyeka Okonkwo to this team, Alperen Sengun to this team, and whoever I get picked for.
I mean, you could just eliminate Jonathan Isaac at this point.
Dude, he's still fun.
With the amount of serious injuries he's had, I just don't see him. I hope he proves me wrong because I'd love to see him play. Every time he's out there for Orlando, he's great. But that many major injuries is hard to come back from.
We'll see. I'm holding out hope. I've been holding him for 2 years.
I mean, at least it doesn't like waste a roster spot. He's still just in the IR.
Well, I had to activate him for the offseason.
Oh,
and
right.
I'll move him back to IR unless he's back by next season.
I
mean, you'd think he's going to be back by October. It'd be 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, he should be back by next season.
Mm-hmm.
Markelle Fultz is already back.
Yeah.
So I would assume he's back, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But that is it for us. If you guys are listening, you can always find us on YouTube as well. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, everything. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell because it lets you know when we go live because we go live anywhere from Monday through Wednesday. So we're always switching things up. Tyler, we appreciate you. You already know, Dennis and I said before, we can't have a show without you here. So thank you for watching, Tyler. Thank you for everyone else who's listening as well. Make sure you share this with one friend because it helps us to get the word out. We are the Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast and the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network, and we will catch you guys next week. Peace.